What's going on, guys? My name is Tony, and today I want to talk about our words. I want to talk about what we say, because our words and what we say have a lot of power behind them, and they actually affect our future. Now, have you noticed that when we say something, it tends to come to pass? For example, when a depressed person is depressed, what do they end up saying? They end up saying, "Oh man, I'm depressed. Life sucks. It's never going to get better. I hate life." And they say stuff like that. And what happens? They end up staying in that depression, or it ends up getting worse. And then they get on medication because they don't know how to deal with it. Why? All because of what they said and what they believed about themselves. Because what you say has a lot of power and has a lot of effect on your future. Now, I want to go to scripture real quick to show you the power of words. If you want to follow me to Hebrews 11:3, Hebrews 11:3 says, "By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible." It says the universe was made out of God's command, which is words. You have to use words for a command. So out of his command came the universe. Now, Romans 4:17 says, "The God who gives life to death and calls things that are not as though they were." He calls things that were not as though they were. He uses his words to call the things that are not as though they were. So when it comes to depression, if you're feeling depressed, you don't call in depression. You don't say, "Man, I'm depressed." You call those things that be not as though they were. If you want to be happy, you start saying, "I'm happy. I love my life. My life is full of joy." Even though you may not feel it and you don't see it, you call those things that be not as though they were. Now you may be saying, "Tony, that great, that sounds awesome. I mean, those scripture verses were great." But that's God. God obviously can say whatever he wants to say and do whatever he wants to do because he has all power. Well, yes, that is true. God does have all power, but this goes for us. That was just a foundation I wanted to plant to show you how powerful words are, and that God even used his words to create the universe and still uses his words today in what he does. Now, if you want to follow me to Proverbs 18:21, this is specifically for us. It says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." It says the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. How do you get a fruit? You plant seeds. Now, what are the seeds? Your words are the seeds. So the seeds that you decide to plant, the words you decide to speak, are going to determine the fruit you get. If you start speaking death over your life and over your future, well, you can expect to get a fruit full of death. But if you decide to speak life over your future and over your situations, well, that fruit is going to be full of life. Your future is going to be full of life. Why? Because you're speaking that over yourself. It says that the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. If you plant an apple seed, you're going to get an apple. If you plant a banana seed, you're going to get a banana. So plant a good seed. Start speaking good things over your future, because then the fruit will follow. And I don't know about you, but I want some good fruit in my life, so I'm going to speak positive things over my situation. I used this personally when I was going through anxiety and depression. I would not tell you guys anything that I've never personally done and never seen it work. This works. I mean, it's in the Bible. It's a promise. You can't destroy a promise. It's in the Bible, so it's going to work. Now, for me, when I was going through depression, anxiety, and all that stuff, and I didn't want to leave my house, because I was scared to leave my house, but I started to speak, "No, I'm an overcomer. I'm more than a conqueror through Christ who gives me strength. I can do all things through Christ. Greater is he who's in me than he who's in the world. I walk by faith and not by sight." Now, as I began to speak those things over myself, right away I didn't feel a difference. But after time came on, I kept speaking that and speaking that. I began to feel different. I began to look at things differently. I began to think about things differently. And things began to change. I felt good. I felt great. I was able to do things that I never thought I was able to do. I was able to go on stage in my church and rap, which I never thought I'd be able to do that because of my fear and anxiety back in the day would not allow me to. So I'm telling you guys, this works. The tongue has power behind it. It has power of life and death. So you're going to reap the fruit that you decide to plant with the seeds, which are the words that you decide to speak over your future. Alright guys, well that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it helped out. If you have any questions or any comments, go ahead and leave them down below, because I'd love to hear from you and see what you got to say. But other than that, guys, I love you. Jesus loves you. Let's change the world.